Growing up in foster care was not easy. I lived in 8 different homes growing up until I finally up and left for college. Um, I was in the system for 2.5 years from when I was 8 till I was like 11 or 12, 11 and a half. And then throughout high school, I kind of was just couch hopping. So I would say it was not easy. I dealt with a lot of verbal abuse, emotional abuse, manipulation. I've had to struggle with self-esteem growing up. That's something I still kind of struggle with as an adult. As far as how that affects me now, I mean, your whole childhood can affect who you become when you grow up. I mean, it can go either right or it can go left. And a lot of the time it goes left, you know what I'm saying? So I would say mostly to this day, like, you know, I struggle with confidence. I struggle with relationships. I struggle with, you know, any kind of aspect that pertains to me interacting with other people. And not saying I'm like antisocial, because that's not what it is, but it's just a level of confidence that I've had to learn to gain on my own. And as an adult, I would say my main coping mechanisms is definitely like meditation. I like to go for walks in nature. That is really, really therapeutic for me. I don't know what it is about just being away from the ambiance of the city, but just being in like canyons or like forests or, you know, natural beaches. Like, I think that is just so therapeutic for me. Traveling, and then just being with my friends, having a support system there, as well as, you know, talking to God or whoever, you know, you believe in. I mean, I feel like having some sort of influence that you can go to over your life, a higher power, that is very important to me, just for the sole reason that I at least feel like I have some sort of faith that things are going to be okay in the long run.
I see you were able to find different ways to find happiness, to cope with all of the issues that you've had growing up. Like, what was like the driving factor of you going that route? Like, did something give you confidence to go, or did you seek any type of counseling, or did you just kind of try to figure it out on your own?
I figured it out on my own. I had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. My decision-making skills, you know, weren't the best, still aren't the best, but it's just a matter of just wanting more for yourself. I always grew up knowing that this wasn't something that I wanted my kids to go through. And even just that family dynamic factor, I've always wanted to have a family of my own. I mean, I have a family, you know, but granted, I want like one that's tight-knit, one that I know that there's gonna be 100%, you know, unconditional love, nothing toxic about it, you know what I'm saying? That was always a goal of mine, to have a happy, beautiful home for my children. So that was just my main driving factor, was honestly the future of my unborn kids. I really just never wanted my kids to have to go through what I went through. So I was really bad when I was an adolescent. I was really bad. I was doing a lot of bad things. And as I got older, I kind of just realized, I mean, environment has a lot to do with it too. Environment definitely has a lot to do with it. I was, you know, lucky enough to, or blessed enough to have moved to an environment as I entered high school that was a little more accepting of me, a little more accepting of everybody. And I kind of just, I went through phases. I didn't know who I wanted to be. I didn't know what kind of personality I had, honestly. I didn't know anything about myself, and even that I've had to learn on my own. So, I mean, yeah, it really just took me finding myself and who I am, and then, like I said, just wanting a happy home for my children, for sure.
So you value family. Family is big to you, based on what you're saying, a happy home. So what do you think are good characteristics for parents to raise children? Like you grew up in a home, I believe it was fatherless. Your mother had mental disorders. What do you feel that a child needs just to have that amazing, like that perfect life? No life is perfect, but just like growing up and having no worries. They can just be a kid. They can go to school. They can have fun with their friends. They just have a normal life. What do you think needs to happen?
I think that has a lot to do with proper visualization of what it is to be loved. Um, you can have a two-parent household and not know what love is because the parents didn't know how to love each other. You know what I'm saying? Like one was abusive, or they were always fighting, or, not keeping marital problems between them, but within the whole family. I think a lot of it just has to do with how much the parents value each other. Because when you're a child, that's the only representation that you get growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that just has to do with, like I said, proper visualization of what unconditional, genuine love is.
All right, so do you believe families or the parents have to like care for each other? So do you believe that they can still raise a child not being married to each other, not living in the same household, or do you believe they should all be like traditional, same household, married, and raising a child?
I believe it's very possible to raise a beautiful family separated. I mean, it's one thing to grow up, like I said, with, a two-parent household. Maybe the father is an alcoholic, he's abusive. You know what I'm saying? That's not, even though it's a two-parent household, it's still not a good representation of what love is. Versus if you have like a separated household, even that depends on the relationship of the parents, because it's just like, how well do y'all get along being separated? Do y'all have other spouses? Do you have a stepfather? Do you have a stepmom? You know what I'm saying? How do they take care of each other? And then also just having a good relationship between the parents. I mean, you can have a separation between parents and they still be great friends, or they, are happy in their relationships, you know what I'm saying? And they don't have to worry about what the other person's doing. I feel like a lot of people like to get this idea that if you grow up, being somebody's, baby mama per se, that, it's just a single parent household. But really, when the father's involved, when the father is doing his part, when the father is respecting the mother, and vice versa, it is still very possible to have a beautiful home in that situation.